Hello, another quick tip for you out there if you guys are having the same problems that I had. Basically, I had just recently switched from Linux Mint into Manjaro KDE, the Plasma with the Plasma desktop, of course, and I was having problems with actually getting the primary monitor to always be primary, and no matter what I did, even within the Plasma settings and things like that, it had all been set up the way I wanted it. nVidia settings showed me that things were set up the way the way I wanted it to be. However, every time I rebooted the system, it was always reverted back. And so my secondary monitor, which is off to my right, is actually a lower resolution, smaller monitor because I don't have enough desktop space to put my other full-size HD monitor over there. If I'm not really sure if that would make any difference or not, but I've noticed that in a lot of distributions that I've used where it actually detects the dual monitor setup, it will always default the primary monitor to the smaller one instead of the bigger one. And Manjaro was kind of like ticking me off for a long time. So I did some research within the Arch Wiki and some other places just to confirm it. And me being a noob is not using Linux constantly for, a very long time. I've only been using it for over a year and a half. Sometimes when I'm starting to deal with configuration files and stuff like that, I get a little bit leery about doing it. But most of the places had told me that I would have to save out the configuration file over to this file here under etc_x11, and this is kind of the Manjaro hardware detection area. And there was an original file here that said, I don't know, the original setting stuff, but it was completely blank. It had nothing in it. And even though I wrote out a file following some of the suggestions out there into this area, it didn't work. So in the Arch Wiki, basically where it tells you to put it is back here in the xorg.conf.d file, and then you'll name it 10monitor.conf. So if your install is anything like mine, it'll have this 00keyboard.conf already in here, but it won't have anything to deal with the monitors. And for some reason, the setup utilities and stuff like that do not write to this area. And I'm not really sure if that's because of just how the Plasma desktop is integrated into Manjaro or whatever, or if it's the same thing like on XFCE or something like that. But this is where you'll write out your configuration file. But you have to do it in a special way. And that's through elevated privileges through the nVidia settings. So basically you can use the terminal Control-Alt-T to bring that up, or I just bring this down really quick. You're going to go to sudo nvidia-settings. I had already tried this once, but I had typed it out wrong for everybody out there, so we're going to do this over again. You'll go to the X server display configuration. You can see this configuration. Every single time that I open this up, this was the appropriate positioning and everything. Some reason this wrote out right within the NVIDIA X server settings, but it wasn't getting into the system to load in. Go into advanced, make sure that you have a primary display, highlighted whichever one you want. As you can see, I have two different things. One's on an HDMI, one's on a DVI, but it's kind of like one of those DVI VGA adapters or something, because this monitor's so old. But it's just something that I shove off to the side to keep some extra files and stuff. You may do the same, but you may have two high-def monitors, whatever. This is how I got it set up. I also forced the composition pipeline and forced full composition. I haven't run into any problems with that quite yet. It was suggested that one of these be ticked. I usually just tick both. It hasn't caused any problems, like I said, yet. And then the main thing that you want to do is you want to save the X configuration file. And in here, this is where you will write the capital X here, write out the file. xorg.conf.d, and then slash that thing 10 dash, and that's about it. Okay, now the reason why you need to have it, of course, in elevated privileges, this is for the noobs out there, noobs like me, is of course that you're writing into the system files in the etc directory, so that's in your, your root directories. And so you need to have the elevated privileges to write it out, otherwise it won't allow you access to do that. Just remember that the X is capitalized for X11. You're going to go that xorg.confd, just like it says here. Okay, and you give it this 10-monitor.conf, and then you can save that out. If you make any changes to your configuration, you can save it out again. I'm not sure why I would merge anything to the existing file, but you can also browse for it after it's been made, and then do it that way. Just hit save. Go ahead and reboot the system, and you should be seeing your primary monitor with appropriate scaling and everything, and in the appropriate places right from the get-go. It's pretty much a lifesaver. It is very simple to do. I'm not sure if this is the configuration file that is required just because I have the proprietary driver installed instead of the free, or if it's just something that we should look forward to in nVidia graphics cards anyway. But I thought I would just share that with you because it was kind of like a pain in the butt, and it seems to be a question that's asked over and over again. This is your solution. It's worked for me so far. Hopefully it works for you. If it doesn't, let me know. Okay, if there's any other questions and stuff like that, I will try to research it the best I can and come up with the appropriate answer. All right, thank you.